And oh man, Lynn Dunn can't stop. Lynn Dunn is out in the public planting the seeds that she's trading Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark 100% will get traded away from the Indiana Fever before Stephanie White gets moved. That is what Lynn Dunn is going out and doing. Lynn Dunn did an interview where she joined a panel, and my, oh my, this is big news. Caitlin Clark is going to get traded to the LA Sparks, you guys.
Usually.
Especially when a team finds a superstar who sells out arenas, breaks records, and turns every game into must-watch television. The plan is pretty simple. Keep her forever. So why are fans suddenly convinced that Lynn Dunn may have hinted at something completely different? One panel discussion, a few carefully chosen words, and now the internet is acting like it just uncovered a secret front office operation. The question is, are they onto something?
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell by the title, it seems as if everything around Caitlin Clark is falling apart. Caitlin Clark has competitive fire. That same trait Michael Jordan is praised for. Larry Bird, all the greats and legends in the game are well respected and praised for this same exact trait. But when it's Caitlin Clark, it seems as if it taints her character, it taints her career. Let's just get straight into it, okay? There are moments in sports when a single controversy dominates the headlines, and then there are moments when a series of seemingly unrelated events all start pointing in the same. Before we
move on, smash that like button and subscribe because you don't want to miss out on this one. Nobody expected a conversation about team culture to ignite one of the wildest theories surrounding the Indiana Fever, but that is exactly what happened. When Lynn Dunn appeared on a panel discussion and began talking about one of the hardest decisions any executive can make.
No way the Indiana Fever are really going to do this, right? There's no way they're actually considering floating out the idea that Caitlin Clark could possibly be traded to the Los Angeles Sparks, right? Or is this Adam Silver and Kathy Engelbert talking behind the scenes saying, hey, we got to get Caitlin Clark to a big market. Hey, we got to get Caitlin Clark to an organization that isn't ran like she was.
Not discussing Caitlin Clark directly, she was not announcing a trade, and she certainly was not standing at a podium revealing some secret front office strategy. Yet the moment her comments started circulating, fans immediately connected the dots and began asking a question that would have sounded completely ridiculous just months ago.
With the old yeller thing, acceptance. We have to accept the fact that things aren't working out in Indiana. It's not working out for Caitlin Clark. Okay? The humane thing to do is to trade Caitlin Clark from Indiana, letting her go so she can go somewhere else. If the Indiana Fever aren't willing to buy into Caitlin Clark, then they need to let Caitlin Clark go.
Cold is this. Now, that brings me back to this right here. I seen somebody says, John, there's a CC smear campaign. I believe it. I believe, based off what I've seen last night, there is definitely something going on with the Fever and Caitlin.
The Indiana Fever actually be preparing for a future without Caitlin Clark? The reason that question exploded across social media has everything to do with timing. It is not just what Lynn Dunn said.
I have to be honest with y'all about something, right? So I was raised, respect your elders, which I do. Up until the point where I feel like the elderly are taking advantage of their age, so now they feel like they can disrespect and violate you. Now the gloves come off. I won't go super crazy, but I'll go real enough to the point that you know I'm not playing, all right? With that being said, Lynn Dunn, come here. Enough is enough. Lynn Dunn, we've been seeing a lot of questionable moves by you.
She said it, how she said it, and the growing collection of comments, rumors, opinions, and criticisms that have surrounded the Fever organization over the past several months. What makes this story fascinating is that it is no longer centered on basketball alone. This is no longer a debate about three-point shooting, assists, turnovers, or defensive schemes. The conversation has shifted into something far more complicated, that IT has become a discussion about leadership, culture, personality, and whether one of the biggest stars women's basketball has ever seen truly fits the vision that Indiana is trying to build. That is where Lynn Dunn's comments suddenly became impossible for fans to ignore. During the panel discussion, Dunn spoke about culture and the responsibility organizations have to protect it. She explained that building culture is similar to maintaining a garden for Fever fans already living inside a whirlwind of speculation. However, those comments landed like a meteor. The reason is simple. Dunn did not stop at talking about weeds. She continued by discussing situations where organizations must make difficult choices involving players who no longer fit the culture being created. She talked about having to let players go, cut players, or even trade players because of behavior issues and cultural concerns. That was all it took.
They're trading Caitlin Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks. Let me just set the stage. Lynn Dunn, the 90-year-old former Purdue coach, former Indiana Fever coach, she's out getting the messaging out on what they're about to do to Caitlin Clark.
You know, your culture is so important to the foundation of what you do. I had to let a superstar go one time for academic reasons, and it was tough, and she couldn't stand me. I had to kick her off the team. She left the school.
Minutes, social media detectives were working overtime. Basketball fans suddenly transformed into FBI agents with Wi-Fi connections, dissecting every sentence, every facial expression, and every word choice as though they were decoding a classified government document. The theory quickly gained momentum, according to some observers. Dunn was not merely discussing organizational philosophy. They believed she was subtly preparing the public for a major decision involving Caitlin Clark. Now, before anyone starts packing Clark's bags for Los Angeles or printing custom jerseys for another franchise, it is important to understand that there is no evidence that Indiana plans to trade her. What began as basketball criticism gradually evolved into criticism of her personality. Some commentators have accused her of being overly emotional during games. Others have criticized her interactions with referees. Some have labeled her competitive nature as frustration, while others have portrayed it as immaturity. The fascinating part is that many of these critiques have little to do with whether she can actually play basketball. Everyone already knows she can.
Lynn Dunn joined the panel here of coaches and executives, etc. And she's planting the seeds in the ground that, I've had to make big decisions of getting rid of star players before. And it's tough when you got to make the decision to get rid of a star player, but sometimes it's what you have to do for culture. Lynn Dunn is planting the seeds, bro. Dan Dockage didn't come out of nowhere saying all of this stuff.
Suddenly,
The same player who shattered scoring records in college basketball transformed television ratings, sold out arenas across the country, and became one of the most recognizable athletes in American sports before even completing a full professional season. Basketball talent has never been the debate. The debate has increasingly focused on perception. That is why some fans interpreted Dunn's comments as significant. When she discussed culture, behavior, and difficult personnel decisions, many immediately connected those themes to criticisms that have frequently been directed toward Clark. Whether those connections are fair or not is another discussion entirely. What cannot be denied is that Clark has become one of the most scrutinized athletes in sports. Every reaction becomes a headline, at times. Watching the coverage surrounding Caitlin Clark feels less like following a basketball player and more like watching the stock market. Every gesture sends analysts into panic mode, while thousands of people immediately begin predicting either the end of civilization or the beginning of a dynasty. The attention is relentless. That is why another part of this story has fueled even more speculation. Former NBA player and broadcaster Michael Thompson publicly mentioned hearing conversations suggesting some people within basketball circles were becoming frustrated with Clark. Whether those comments reflected genuine organizational concerns or merely league gossip remains unclear, but they added another layer to an already growing mountain of
Sometimes trading a player is better for the player. the player / coach / organization relationship is not working, that dynamic is not working, for all parties, sometimes it's best to just let that person go. We don't want a Jimmy Butler situation with Caitlin Clark where she's refusing to play. I know I mentioned in my comments on my previous video that she should just not play, demand a trade, pull a...
Fans started connecting Thompson's remarks to Dunn's comments. Then they began connecting those comments to ongoing criticism surrounding the Fever. Then they connected all of that to the team's struggles, coaching decisions, roster construction, and internal dynamics. Before long, the internet had built a conspiracy board so complicated it probably required 3 whiteboards, 14 red strings, and a detective drinking cold coffee at 3 in the morning. Yet there is another side to this conversation that often gets overlooked. Not everyone who has worked with Caitlin Clark describes her the way critics do. One of the most notable examples came from UCLA coach Corey Close.